The Donut Bag is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Your data is your business. Protect it with ExpressVPN. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to the link listed in my Twitter profile. All right, AEW Full Gear 2022 is done. Another AEW pay-per-view in the books. Chris Mueller, what did you think of this pay-per-view overall?
I thought it was a good show. There were parts of All Out that I didn't care for, and I thought this one was much better booked in terms of giving all the finishes that the crowd was actually going to like. Because there was a few things during All Out where people were like, "Oh, they should have done this instead." Like people thought the Acclaimed should have won it All Out. So, but I think this one was good. It wasn't a perfect show. They never are.
Yeah. I see my thoughts about AEW right now are just so conflicted, I guess is the word. I'm just not that I hate it. I'm just disappointed in some of the things they do. And I just think that they've been in a state of chaos because of the whole CM Punk Elite thing. I think it was very obvious that they wanted to at least, they just gave the championship to CM Punk, and then the Elite just won the Trios championship, so that they were going to be heavily emphasized, and then that all went out the window, and it's like, and then they just scrambled like crazy to figure out what are we going to do now, and I think now they're just sort of getting back to where they want to be in terms of booking and where they want everything to be, but I still have my frustrations.
Yeah, I understand that. Injuries pop up a lot too, and that really hurt them this year, especially with the build up to Forbidden Door. They had a bunch of people who were out who they really wanted at that show.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. Like it seems very start and stop. Plus, we don't always hear about every single injury. Like I know a lot of people who didn't even realize Santana was out with an injury. Like it was a big deal when he went out, and then a lot of people forgot about it because so many other things have happened, and it's like, oh yeah, no, he's going to be out for a while, guys.
I think that's my biggest frustration with AEW is just that they have such a bloated roster. There's so many people that either, I mean, you can't avoid injuries, and yeah, Santana's hurt, and Santana Ortiz, what I thought was supposed to be this awesome tag team, but and I think they are, but for a few reasons, I think that's never going to happen. But teams like FTR and talents like Miro are just you never, like, they just go away for months at a time, and it's ridiculous. Like these are supposed to be really talented people, and then there's a lot of talent there, and it's just being wasted. And it's like I don't
like there is one thing I will say. AEW has always operated on a cycling system. So you never see anybody who's really around all the time. Like everybody kind of cycles in and out, even in the main event. So I do understand why some people are like, oh, this person was red hot and they just killed their push. And it's like AEW has fewer hours of TV during the week to work with, and they're trying to build all these different people. And sometimes they kind of spread a little thin. So I do wish there was a little more focus. Sometimes like Wardlow was red hot right after he won the TNT title, and then it felt like they kind of dropped the ball with him. I don't know what's going on with Miro. Like it really just confuses me that guy is not being used. But oh well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just really, and I think it's a good thing if that's the plan. Let these people have a vacation and an off season, a couple months just to chill, because it's ridiculous. Back in the day, they would, wrestlers would wrestle every like 300 times a year. It was just literally insane schedule. You know, you're wrestling to like 4 times on a weekend, you know, they never get to see their family, and they're beat up like crazy and stuff. So you don't want that. But you know, hey, if that's a plan, give them a couple months, that's fine. But at the same time, it's like you got
Yeah.
a lot of talent that's not doing much, and it's just anyway. So the pre-show was interesting. I do like that the pre-show has wrestling and not significant things happen, but still interesting things happen. The 10-man tag with Best Friends and uh, Rocky Romero and Danhausen took on the Factory. And the big thing was, is this a new Danhausen, or is this just another facet of Danhausen? Because
I
I'm not
mean,
that familiar with him. But
this is kind of original recipe Danhausen.
nice.
Like this was what Danhausen began as when he did this character. He was much more horror focused, and it kind of turned into a comedy thing over time. But I like that AEW is introducing this other side of him where he can be taken seriously for a match or two here and there, and then go right back to making people laugh. Like, you know, comedy is one of those things in pro wrestling, like it works really well, but there is a ceiling to it. You will only get so far as a comedy character. So having that ability to be able to tap into something more serious, just like Mick Foley could with Cactus Jack at any given point, it's really going to open up more possibilities for him, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also he broke his leg like a while ago. So that's another reason why, you know, anytime you see Danhausen, it was doing the comedy things. So now maybe we'll actually see him be a wrestler and stuff like that. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
just love him.
he's been on Dark a bunch of times. Like he has been wrestling for
Okay.
AEW. It's just not as much on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right. You need to be taken seriously as a wrestler. You can't just be comedy act. Uh Ricky Starks versus Brian Cage, world title eliminator tournament semifinal. I mean, Ricky Starks is one of those guys that I think has unlimited potential, could, you know, could be pushed to the moon. He looks amazing. Hopefully he's in the middle of his push, and you know, who knows where this goes from here. Brian Cage surprised the heck out of me. Brian Cage I thought he was just like a big dumb oaf, and it seems like he's actually improved a lot.
Oh, Brian Cage has always been pretty versatile. Like he can move good for a guy his size. I've seen him do moonsaults and springboards and all sorts of stuff. He is like a very unique talent that I don't know what happened between him and AEW to where he was off TV for a really long time, but I know that when ROH comes back, he's going to be positioned there very heavily. So I have a good feeling that ROH will be where people finally get to see Brian Cage shine a little bit more.
They desperately need ROH. I don't care if it's, I know he was just asked about this. They desperately need like some kind of show, even if it's just on YouTube or something like that. There's too much talent not doing much, and this would, yeah, it would be perfect for someone like Brian Cage. You know, I don't know what plans they have for Ring of Honor, but it would be kind of cool if it was just like a, you know, where like the young up and comers were at and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see. Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama. I don't know Jun Akiyama that well. I mean, I've heard of him, but Eddie Kingston's reaction to like the interview before the match, and then what happened after the match, how emotional he got, it was perfect. It was so good.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked this was on the pre-show and not on the main card because the crowd was so hot for this. And like you said, Eddie's reaction kind of made the whole thing. their little moment afterwards where they both bowed and hugged and everything, like that was really nice. And then Eddie giving a little talk to hype up the rest of the show. I love that Eddie called out that he was like, Tony and Jamie, that's the match I'm going to be watching. Like that made me so happy because that was the match I wanted to see the most too.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a fun 10-minute match. I think they did a great job.
See, Eddie Kingston, this okay. Miro, I get. Well, I don't understand why he's on TV, but still, he's very talented. You could do a lot with Miro, but Eddie Kingston, he should get all the airtime. I love him so much. He could be this generation's Dusty Rhodes. The guy that doesn't have the greatest physique ever, but he's just the everyman. He's the underdog. You could push this guy to the moon, and maybe it's because he had that trouble with Sammy Guevara. I don't know, but it's like it's almost like he's disappeared for the past couple months. I need to see more Eddie Kingston.
Yeah, I feel like the little bit of backstage drama definitely, hurt him a bit, but it's not going to slow him down too much. I know a lot of people backstage love and respect Eddie, and I know that the company views him very highly. So I do think we are going to see him. Maybe he'll get the TNT title first, but he'll be a world champion in AEW eventually. And it'll be like, for his fans, I think it'll be just as emotional as when Mick Foley won the title.
If they do it right, that would be one of the greatest moments in AEW history. That would be so cool if he won it. I don't care if he loses it the next day. Just him going for the title and winning it would be such an amazing moment if they do it right. So
I mean, a lot of people really wanted him to win when he was going after Moxley. And it was people who had already been fans of Eddie for a while. Now he's gained so many more fans since then. And I think the next time they put him in a world title picture, he'll probably win it.
We'll see. Steel cage match, Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus. Okay, maybe this will be the end of it. Maybe they're just waiting for Christian Cage to get healthy. I don't know if this is going to continue. The spot where he gets on the top of a cage and delivers that elbow through the table, that was a great spot. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to think about Jungle Boy. It's something that could and should be pushed, and it's kind of like he's in this feud, and let's see what happens.
I mean, this match to me, it dragged a little bit. I thought this match could have been a few minutes shorter and been just as good. The final spot scared me a little because Jungle Boy sort of just walked off the edge of the cage and fell really fast. And then he only really hit Luchasaurus with a little bit of his elbow. And it's lucky that it put him through the table because it didn't look like he hit as much as he should have.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was kind of a dud of a spot. It's like,
I mean, it worked and it looked okay from like the crowd, I think, but on TV, I don't think it came across as well as they wanted it to. And I'm glad Jungle Boy appeared to be fine because that was a tough fall and he did not brace the landing very well. But that's what being young does. Your body bounces back like quickly.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this going forward. We'll see if
I think this is the blow off for now. When Christian Cage is ready to return and wrestle, I'm sure we'll go back to this, but I think Jungle Boy will move on.
Yeah. That will be a fun match. Or just I just remember those promos Christian Cage did on Jungle Boy, just so did not hold back and talking about his dead dad and stuff like that. That was amazing. Trios championship match, the Elite versus Death Triangle. The big thing was the Elite are back. and they did not win, which was I think everybody just assumed the Elite were just going to win. And not only that, not only did they not win, but I guess this was announced that this was the first of a 7-match best of 7 thing, which is
Yeah, I didn't
interesting.
actually pay attention. Like I was watching the show while I was like chatting with a friend. So I wasn't covering it live. That was another guy at Bleacher Report. I was doing a post show piece, so I could kind of pay attention when I needed to. So I must have missed that announcement. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun, but man, 7 matches is a lot, especially for trios. Like maybe make it a best of 5 at the most.
Yeah. It's like I like ice cream, but I don't want 5 gallons of it.
I mean, is every match going to be for the titles? Like, are we going to see 3 title changes during this feud? Like, what's going on here?
Exactly. Are you just switching them off, or is this whoever wins it at the end? Yeah, that's I think a lot of people are asking that.
Yeah,
But yeah, so the Elite are back, and I guess this is what they're doing now. I guess they're just going to be, for now, just be a trio thing, and uh, I don't know, maybe just slowly work themselves back in the company. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
yeah. Ray being willing to use the hammer was a surprising way for this to go out. I would have expected Penta to use it before Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah. TBS Championship match: Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose. Okay, what are we doing with Jade Cargill? Yeah, she's undefeated. Okay, cool. Now what? I mean, what
I
is she?
I want
42 and
them
0?
I want them to get the title off her. It's not helping her at this point. They're not doing anything interesting with it. Nyla Rose was the first person who made the TBS title interesting since it came around. Like, we know what Jade is, we know who she is. And I think this match is one of her longer matches at 8 minutes. And it kind of showed that she still has a lot of work to do. So I think they need to get that title off somebody onto somebody else who's going to benefit from it more. Because at this point, I don't think it's really doing anything for Jade anymore.
What are they do? What are they do? What is this TBS championship supposed to be? Is it like the Intercontinental Championship of women's
Yeah,
titles,
well,
or
it's it's the equivalent to the TNT title. Yeah, it's supposed to be the mid card title, but you
but
know,
she doesn't, Jade doesn't wrestle the best women's wrestlers. She doesn't go against you know, Tony Storm, or like any of the, or Britt Baker, or any like the best women's wrestlers. Just like,
right?
what are we doing? Yeah, it's like it's stale. And then, okay, so she's what 42 and 0 or whatever. Now, whoever does take it off, it has to be someone big. It has to be something significant and big. You can't just give it to, just have some random person winning it. So I don't know if they've booked themselves in the corner, or what.
I mean, there's plenty of people that they could book to take it from her. I just think they need to do that at some point soon because, like I said, Jade is no longer benefiting from having that title, and the title is not gaining any more prestige by being around her waist if they're not really doing anything interesting with her. I personally think they should have put it on Nyla here because Nyla is finally being allowed to show her real personality on
Yes.
screen. And like,
Yes.
Nyla's been funny forever, but getting to see her do this on TV, it just makes me so happy. So I want more of her again. And I think they should have pulled the trigger on that title change.
She's one of those that she's another one of those that haven't been doing anything for months, and yeah, she's finally doing this. And yeah, that's, I mean, if you see her on Twitter, she is funny as heck. She's entertaining. She's just very smart and funny. So yeah, let her show that instead of this, oh, I'm the beast, I'm big, I'm like, yeah, good for her. Hopefully that continues. So good for her. Fatal 4-way Ring of Honor World Championship match. Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, Claudio, and Sammy Guevara. Okay. I wasn't really excited about this. I mean, obviously they're doing a thing with Chris Jericho where he's kind of like crapping on the Ring of Honor and the world title. And it's like, okay, I get it. Eventually I'm sure they have their plan of what they're going to do with that. So I wasn't really expecting the title to change hands. So this was okay.
You know what's funny about it is the story is Jericho doesn't care about the title and is trying to embarrass all these past champions and whatever. But at the same time, he's actually defending the ROH title regularly and having solid matches doing it. Like, he is making the title look good right now, in my opinion. So the storyline is only because he's a heel. But what they're doing with it, I actually think is kind of smart, especially as they're trying to secure a TV deal.
I love it. I love it.
I thought this was a good match. I thought a couple of the spots looked bad, but like Sammy Guevara is one of those guys that, like, when he hits his spots, those like really crazy moves, they look cool. But if he's off by like a little bit, then they just look sloppy. And that's the risk you take when you do that high flying style. He's young. We can't expect him to be as smooth as Rey Mysterio at this point in his career, even though Rey was already pretty reliable when he was younger than Sammy. But yeah, I thought this was a decent match. It really did feel like at one point they were going to put the title on Bryan, but I'm not surprised Jericho won.
Yeah. I was confused. I saw Bryan Danielson and Claudio fighting and said, what the heck are they doing? I thought it was at first I thought it was like a tag match. Like, hey, oh my God, they've turned on each other. It's like, oh no, wait, never mind. So, yeah, I mean, Sammy Guevara is just another one of those people with unlimited potential, young guys with lots of potential that could easily become world champion someday. So it's just, throw him in that bin. Saraya versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I really didn't care about the match. I'm just happy Saraya is able to wrestle again. I think that is so cool that she gets to, it's kind of like what happened with Bryan Danielson. He was gone for so long because of an injury, and then he's able to wrestle again. It's like, and the funny thing is, I think Saraya is only 30. It's not like she's super old, but hasn't been wrestling for like 5 or 6 years. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this, just that she was out there. What did you think?
Oh yeah, I thought this was a decent match. I really hate how much AEW does the thing where, like, this person had a neck injury, so we're gonna do a bunch of moves where the heel attacks their neck.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that that's always a thing. But Britt Baker is a much safer worker than a lot of people may realize. So she was the perfect person to put in the ring. And I love that during the scrum, Saraya went out of her way to be like, I'm breaking character here, but like, I got to talk about how great Britt Baker has been and all this stuff. Like, some people don't like Britt for whatever reason. And it's nice to actually hear somebody like Saraya be like, listen, she's good and she helped me and she deserves flowers for that.
I really don't get why people don't like Britt Baker. She is, it's like, oh, she gets too much airtime. Yeah, well, she deserves it.
I think it's because she's so good at what she's doing that people think that's who she really is.
Yeah.
You know?
That promo that she did. So there was the one promo where Saraya like attacked Britt Baker and really was just said some like not true things. It's like, oh, you're not really a star, you really haven't done it, blah blah blah. And Britt responded, and it was almost like a babyface promo, but still, I think that was like one of the best promos she ever delivered.
But what's funny about it is, if you really look at what my buddy Phil, who's also at Bleacher Report, he pointed this out on his podcast Grapsity. if you really pay attention to what Britt was saying, everything she said in that promo was a lie. She didn't carry the company through the pandemic. Sheeta was the champion during the pandemic.
That's right. Sheeta carried the company. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Like all these things that Britt mentioned, like I think she even mentioned a few people that she lost to, talking about like, so it was a very well done thing where people were like, oh, this is kind of a babyface promo, but it's absolutely not if you go back and really listen to what she's saying.
Interesting.
It was a good bit of storytelling. I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. I am very interested to see what happens with Britt now in the future, and Saraya. I mean, I'm sure Saraya can, I don't want to compare it to CM Punk, but it's almost kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, this legend has come back, and like, okay, what happens now? So I'm very interested to see where both of them go from here.
Well, I think she already told us that she won't be wrestling every week. It might be like, 10 to 12 matches a year kind of thing.
That's fine.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Just have her for special things, and she could still be on TV and cutting promos and stuff like that. So that's fine. TNT Championship match: Wardlow versus Samoa Joe versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Samoa Joe was also the Ring of Honor World TV Champion, and now he's also the TNT Champion. So he is the champion of all television.
Yeah,
that's it. That he has ruled the television universe. I love that they put three big guys together, and it's funny that Wardlow was like the one doing high flying things. Like he's no tiny guy. I love Wardlow. He had this huge push. He had this huge thing going on with MJF, and then when that happened I think that was All Out. That was the whole thing when MJF was threatening to leave, and is he getting on a plane? Is he going to show up? And that kind of overshadowed. It kind of like killed Wardlow's push. And it's like, okay, Wardlow's over, but it's like, I don't know. I think he needs to be brought up, but he doesn't really need the title. And then Powerhouse Hobbs, throw him in that bin with young guys with lots of potential that could be world champion.
Yeah. I thought this was a fun match. I love that the TNT title might just become like the Haas title for a little while. Like just all the big muscly dudes are going to be fighting over that belt for a bit. But I thought the title change was good, even though I thought Wardlow was going to retain. But man, I heard a great analogy somebody made where they're like, Wardlow is Jeff Hardy in Batista's body. like him and
that's a good one.
Him and Brian Cage are these two big dudes who can do a lot of acrobatic stuff that you just don't see coming, and it makes them really fun to watch.
You could throw Keith Lee in that category
a little bit. Yeah. Keith Lee to me is the modern day Bam Bam Bigelow.
God, yes.
Bam Bam was so much more versatile than a lot of people remember, especially during his ECW run.
Like, and you see these big guys doing these kind of moves, and you kind of take it for granted. It's like, people, these are very large dudes doing these things. This is very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Bam Bam could do a moonsault, and had Vader too.
Yeah.
Keith Lee is not the first guy with his body shape to be doing the things he's doing, but he's doing it well. And I know we'll get to that match later, but yeah, as far as the TNT title match goes, I knew Hobbs wasn't going to win, even though a lot of people seem to think that this was his time. But yeah, Joe being two belts Samoa Joe, like that's going to be a little bit of fun to watch because he's a heel now, and heel Joe is the best Joe.
Yeah, I just thought that was a little bit of a maybe there. It seemed like I forget who he was wrestling, but it seems like he got a little bit gassed or a little bit blown up or something like that. It's like, maybe I think he's nearing the end of his career and he can't pull off these big matches anymore. Or maybe just, he needs to be a little paced a little bit or something. I don't know. It's we'll see what happens with this with Samoa Joe. It's maybe it's just one last ride for him. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. I have no idea what his plans are, how long he thinks he's going to keep going, but yeah, I thought this was a fun match.
No DQ, no count out match. Sting and Darby Allin versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Jeff Jarrett, my goodness, it's just funny seeing people that like from 20-30 years ago that were wrestling and they're still wrestling today. And compared to Sting, he's a young whippersnapper. Jeff Jarrett's only 55 and Sting's 63, and you have these old guys still doing matches in 2022. I just think it's awesome. I don't know. I just love anytime I see Sting.
I mean, all the credit in the world to Jeff Jarrett. That guy was everywhere this year. He GCW doing stuff with Effie. He showed up in WWE, AEW. I think he might have been at one of the ROH shows. Like
seriously,
like
the Ric
that
Flair
guy,
thing.
That guy does not stop hustling, and I give him all the credit in the world for that. That being said, I could not have cared less about this match.
Seriously.
I honestly just I think the appeal of Darby Allin for me has just completely worn off.
I agree. I could see that. Like, it's like, okay, I don't want to say you're a one-trick pony, but it's like, okay, we've seen it, dude. You're a daredevil and you do daredevil things. Okay. Um, Something needs, yeah, he needs to do something else. It's like, what else are we going to do with you now? Like, okay, that's cool. You're with Sting, but now what's like, yeah, we'll see where he goes from here. Oh, the so it wasn't just Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. It was Satnam Singh, and that spot where Darby Allin was on a very large ladder and he jumps off and Satnam Singh catches him like he's a rag doll. That was impressive. Like,
oh yeah, that was the coolest moment in the match. Because
yeah,
like literally had Satnam missed or like his grip slipped or something, like that would have been it for Darby. He would have
yeah.
broke his tailbone. Like
Oh yeah,
he would have been done for a while. And like the way Satnam caught him, it was like he was catching a literal child.
yeah, yeah. I mean, Darby Allin is a pretty undersized dude, and Satnam, this guy is over 7 foot tall. I generally don't like people like that. It's like, what do you do with someone that large? It's like almost unrealistic to expect him to ever lose a fight or whatever. So I don't like overly large people like that. But if you use them, just sparingly in spots like that, that's cool.
Yeah.
AEW Interim World's Women's Championship match: Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter. I kind of feel bad for Tony Storm because I mean, like, Jamie Hayter mania has run wild, and
Yeah.
it's such a wonderful thing when somebody gets over organically and the crowd gets so behind him. And I think it all out, they really wanted Jamie Hayter to win. And then this was inevitable. You almost had to do it. And when she won, there was the crowd went wild, and that's great. But I mean, Tony Storm really didn't do anything wrong, and just got caught in the wave.
I mean, I think Tony had a decent title reign. She had a fair amount of defenses. She had a bunch of appearances on Dark with really good matches too. But you're right in saying that like Hater Mania is running wild. People love her right now. even though she's still very clearly a heel, she is being cheered like a babyface. And I like that she plays into it and acknowledges it. That she's like, yeah, you guys love me, and I love that you love me, even though I'm cheating. But this was my match of the night. Like, I'm not gonna say, it was more exciting than the Elite versus Death Triangle, but I enjoyed this one the most, also because it was the result that I wanted to happen the most, and it did. I really like Jamie Hayter, and I think ever since she returned, she's just been unstoppable, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with her.
So many possibilities of where they could go, of where they could defend it. I think the big question is, she is in a group with Britt Baker and Rebel. How is Britt Baker and after the match they were hugging and stuff, but how does that go? Is do you really think Britt Baker is going to just be okay with someone else being champion and someone else getting the spotlight? Like, I don't think that's going to fly at all. And I think that would be perfect. They've been teasing this feud between them for a long time now. Let's get it on. Let's have Britt turn on Jamie, have Jamie be a face, and let's start that. Let's have that be your first defense.
I agree that that's probably what will happen. However, there is this running thing in pro wrestling where women cannot be friends for very long. They always turn on each other.
Yeah.
And I think the more interesting way to go would be to have Britt actually just be a supportive friend. But I do think that they will eventually have Britt go after Jamie. And I'm pretty sure that that will be like after the next program that Jamie has. Like, Jamie will have a short feud with somebody else here while Britt is still her ally. And then once Jamie retains at, Winter is Coming or whatever the next big show is, she'll turn on Jamie, and then that's when we'll get that feud starting. And that'll probably culminate at whatever the next pay-per-view is. I forget the next one in the lineup.
Yeah. I'm
Revolution. That's the next one.
okay. Was that in January or something?
Let me look. I think they announced the date for it. March 5th, actually. So
wow. Yeah. Yeah, and there'll be something in between. Yeah, Winter is Coming or whatever. Maybe they'll do Battle of the Belts or something like that. But yeah, and then the other question is, okay, the Thunder Rosa thing. Like, I mean, and they even asked, like, what's going on? It's been a while. At some point, do you just say, hey, maybe don't make her just the interim champion, just make her the actual champion? I don't know.
I mean, the projected return for her is early next year, but how early is the question? Because, like, are we talking January or April?
Right.
So I think for now, Tony is just probably like, let's wait and see what happens. Or at some point, they'll put a timer on it and be like, there's a 180-day clause that says if the champion can't return to challenge the interim champion, blah, blah, blah. Like, make up their own rule like they always do. It's pro wrestling. We're used to it.
Yeah. There's so many. I mean, she could defend against Sheeta, Serena Deeb,
Riho, Saraya, Ruby. There's a plethora of women that could put on great matches with Jamie.
I thought at one point a while ago the AEW women's division was pretty weak, and I think it's pretty strong now. So yeah, there's a lot of ways they could go. So that'll be really cool to see.
I think they've always had talent in the division. I think it's just never been. It's always been a sore spot for Tony. Like, not a sore spot. I shouldn't say that. It's not that Tony doesn't like women's wrestling. He does. It's that he just like finally found a good way to book it, I think.
Exactly. It's been booked so poorly. I remember Britt Baker and Nyla Rose were fighting over cheeseburgers or some crap like that. Like, stop it. And I don't know. I mean, I know they brought in Madison Rain And I'm sure, maybe something like Sarai or something. I'm sure, hopefully he's getting other inputs into
I'm
how
sure
to
he
book
is.
this. And I think that's been helping a
And
lot.
I know that he has had talks with Maria as well, who is very smart and
Yeah.
did great things for the ROH women's division while she was there, and did some stuff with Impact. So uh I know that, I believe they have signed a contract. I just don't know if it's an ROH contract or an AEW contract.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 So it's yeah, and it just seems like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking Soraya is just like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But ever since she's come on, it's just made the whole division a lot more legitimate. I don't know, but uh, AEW World Title tag team match: The Acclaimed versus Swerve and Our Glory. Uh, they've been teasing this Keith Lee Swerve, turn on each other for so long. It seems like it finally happened. I love the Acclaim. The Acclaim is another one they just got so organically over that you just had to give them the championships. And I mean, they're great. They're just so entertaining. The first time I heard "Scissor Me Daddy Ass," I think I almost fainted. I was laughing so hard. I was screaming at the TV. That's one of the funniest. That might be one of my highlights of 2022. Um, so it's just weird when you talk about world tag team champions and say, well, what do you do with FTR? FTR has like every championship other than the AEW World Championship, and you never see them. It's just weird.
Yeah, I know that when it comes to the tag team division, that's another one where they really have to cycle teams in and out, because it's not like they can have 6 teams all having their own storylines at any given time. Um, so I'm glad the trios titles have kind of alleviated that, because now the best friends can focus on that instead of the tag titles. FTR versus the Acclaimed will happen eventually. And I feel like that's probably where the Acclaimed will drop the titles. But for now, I love what they're doing. That is one of the true AEW success stories, because they were not a tag team before AEW. They got paired up there, and they have become one of the most popular acts in the company. And the fact that Tony recognized, hey, having Billy turn on them was a mistake, let's put Billy back with them, was so great, because having him with them just makes it so much more fun for some reason.
They are literally this generation's new age outlaws. They are based as almost the exact same thing. A tag team that is just wildly over because of the things they say. They have so many catchphrases. They have so many things that they do, and the crowd just eats it up. I think they sell out those scissor foam finger
Oh yeah.
things.
Oh, I heard another great analogy from somebody on Twitter. I wish I could figure out who this was. They were like, the Acclaimed really just is PGDX.
They are.
And
They really are.
it works. Like that music video, oh my god. The fact that, do you know Will Washington at all?
I know. I know the Grapsody.
Yeah, like the fact that they referenced him in the music video is hilarious, because he's Swerve's cousin in real
Right.
life.
Right.
And he had no idea that that was going to happen. Like somebody on Twitter had to tell him. So that was amazing. But
Could you
yeah,
imagine you're just watching TV and they call you out on national TV? Like, what? Could you could you have could you have given me some notice or something?
I'm sure he talked about it already somewhere. But
Right.
yeah, the next episode of Grapsy is going to be really interesting. But yeah,
um,
that was a fun match. I like how they had Keith Lee walk out on him instead of having Swerve do the full turn and attack him,
yeah.
because I think that's going to allow Swerve to be more vindictive in his heelish ways. Like, we're going to get to see a new side of Swerve here soon, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Swerve is so talented. Just he's great wrestling. He's great on the mic. He's just I can't wait to see this. This is both two guys with enormous potential. If they feud, it could be amazing. I love Keith Lee to death. I'm just so mad of how he was treated in WWE, but I loved how he was in NXT, and I just want to see so many good things for him. So that could be really interesting.
Yeah, and it's not impossible that he'll end up back in WWE someday. Like now that the regime is a little different over there. I mean, Mia went back, so who knows? But
Yeah.
yeah.
AEW World Championship match: Jon Moxley versus MJF. Finally, MJF gets his title. This is the start of a new era. God, I I'm so excited. I love just the things MJF has done. He just kills it every time. He delivers amazing programs. It's an amazing character. I'm so excited to see where this goes. And then William Regal helps him. Whoa, that was a bit of a surprise. I mean, that just opens up so many things. Like, is William Regal his manager now? Is he, has he turned his back on Blackpool Combat Club? It's like there's so many possibilities now. What did you think of this?
I was not shocked by the William Regal heel turn. I even posted about it on Twitter as the match was beginning. Like, my heart's going to break if William Regal turns on Moxley here. And then as soon as it happened, like 3 or 4 people replied to me like, this is your fault. But yeah, I thought this was another match where, like, once it got to about the 3/4 point, I was like, all right, guys, let's wrap it up. And they just kept going for a little while. So I felt like it went on longer than it needed to. AEW does a thing where like I know all the Wrestle Kingdom matches everybody loves have a million false finishes. I personally don't like that though. Like, I don't need 22 counts in a match before the 3 count happens.
Yeah.
So I liked the match, and I liked that MJF won, and I like how it happened. I don't know what they do with Regal from here. They may have booked themselves into a corner with that. But now Moxley can take his much needed and deserved vacation, and MJF can have an interesting title reign, which, I mean, he already got off to a good start at the press scrum where he came in and just yelled at everybody for 2 minutes and then walked away.
That was amazing.
You know what? And credit to Tony for keeping a straight face and like and selling that as being like, well, all right, that happened. I guess we can actually continue with this. Sorry, guys. Like, if I was him, because he knew that was happening, obviously, that was all set up.
Yeah.
I would not have been able to help myself but laugh, because MJF is just funny.
Yeah, he is.
So yeah, credit to Tony for being able to sell that.
I think that a lot when I see like really funny moments happen in like live. It's like, how are these guys not breaking? These are some really good actors, because I'm sitting at home laughing like crazy. It's like, I don't know.
I mean, Sami Zayn is constantly breaking people on screen, and
Oh
it's
my
amazing.
goodness. Yes. Yeah. Well, a couple weeks ago, he had the entire all the Usos and Roman Reigns like laughing so hard. I think Paul Heyman was like, okay, let's stop this. Let's get out of here, because it just went off the rails so much. So yeah. And it's like, okay, I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna tease this promotion, the war of 2024. He's going to tease that he's going to walk away with the AEW belt, so he's probably going to have the belt all of 2023, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with I think championships are better when there's a heel, and all the good guys are trying to get it and trying to chase for it and stuff. So I'm okay with that. But who do you want to see MJF go defend against first?
Well, I feel like Ricky is going to win the tournament. I think he'll beat Ethan Page on Wednesday in the finals. So I think Ricky will probably be his first real challenger.
I love it.
I mean, that'll be a great match. Those two guys, like, they're Ricky's a little older than MJF, obviously. I think Ricky's 30. MJF is 25. But like they both just have so much potential and so far in their career to go that like I almost wish they were going to hold off on that program a little bit, because down the line, Ricky might be the guy that you want to beat MJF. Like he is really over as a babyface right now. And if they can maintain that for a year, yeah, it'll probably be Ricky who takes the title.
Oh, I mean, there's so many, there's so many that whole bin of, young, talented people that have unlimited potential, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Sammy Guevara. There's so Jungle Jack. There's so many that they could put in there and they could build right. So, yeah, who knows who eventually is going to take it? But I'm just so looking forward to the weasel heel moves. He's gonna cheat. He's probably gonna have like the firm or some, like a stable of guys protecting him and stuff like that. It's going to be great, and we're gonna be so mad about it. But the funny thing is, MJF is also a good wrestler too, so he could put on good matches. So that's gonna be fun to see.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a great title reign. It's already off to a great start. And Wednesday's show is going to be very interesting because I'm sure he is going to come out there and have some big speech and celebration. I hope that they don't immediately have somebody confront him. Like give him 1 week where he can just yell at everybody and say, look at me, I'm better than you. I don't need to worry about whether you like me or not. Don't have anyone interrupt him. Save that for a week or two. Like Wednesday, it should just be a quick promo about how successful he is.
I have a feeling it's going to be that plus William Regal being there explaining why he went with MJF or something like that. So
yeah, because what does that mean for like Claudio Danielson and Yuta
right,
too? Because obviously he's not going to be with Moxley anymore. But
right.
are they just going to kick Moxley out of the Blackpool Combat Club and all turn heel? I doubt it. So I don't know what the plan is here.
Oh my God. What if that's his dudes? What? Oh my goodness. That would be insane. No, that would never happen.
Well,
I
you know what?
Know.
Claudio and Yuta could both easily turn heel.
Yeah.
Danielson, I think, has too much love from the crowd right now to turn heel.
I think that's a big money match in the future is Danielson against MJF. And I think that would be amazing. Yeah, so many possibilities, but all right. So how can people find you and follow you, and where in the heck are you? How can we follow your work?
I'm on Bleacher Report. That's where all my articles get published. I pop up on random podcasts whenever people tend to invite me. I am on Twitter at BR_doctor. I just started one of those Hive accounts that everybody's doing just in case Twitter goes into the toilet.
What's Hive?
Hive is just another Twitter alternative.
Oh boy, another one.
It's actually like it's got a really nice user interface. It's very similar to Twitter, but I kind of like the way it looks better.
I've signed up with Mastodon, Counter Social.
I think Mastodon is one a lot of people have already decided they're.
It's so confusing. It's oh God.
But I'm on Hive at just Chris Mueller.
I'll have to check that out. But I don't think Twitter's going away, but still, it's so frustrating right now being on social media trying to figure all this stuff out. It's like I feel like I'm like an old person. Like we're like, how does this all work?
I don't think Twitter is going to go away, and unless they make it where like you absolutely have to pay, I'm probably not going to leave anytime soon. But I have my backups just in case.
Elon Musk is one heck of a heel. He is a real life heel or whatever the heck he's doing.
Good Lord, that guy. I blocked him on Twitter just so he can't possibly see me talking trash and report me like he has been with people.
Oh
Because
my
that's how
goodness.
some people are getting these strikes for things that are not even close to being offensive.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's just he's just insane. He's just a madman right there. The way he's doing things. It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary that the potential. I mean, if you think about how big Twitter is and how you can manipulate it, it's kind of scary. And hopefully he doesn't go too crazy with it. But um, you
Yeah.
know, well, fortunately, we have a billionaire that used his money for good and made a promotion called AEW, and now we get to talk about it.
Exactly.
I think that's what I would do if I was more bigger. I would make my own. I would make my own um promotion just out of the people that AEW doesn't use. I would make Miro the champion. I would make FTR the tag champions. That would be a very
I mean, that
promotion with a
seems
lot of
like
talent.
it seems like that's what AEW started as, is let's take all the guys WWE won't use properly
Basically.
and put belts on them. Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me,
All
dude.
right. I'll see you.